The Palestinian 9/11, the Palestinian day of foreign aggression and destruction, day of murder, day of ethnic cleansing, turned into many weeks, years, and decades from 1947 to 1949 to 1967 to 1982, the Nakba, Deir Yassin massacres, the declaration of Israel as a Jewish state at the expense of Palestinian rights, land, and lives. The 1967 Israeli occupation of Palestinian territories, Sabra and Shatila massacres, and I could go on and on. Didn't stop with the 21st century. For Palestinians, 9/11 has occurred again and again since the beginning of the 21st century. Innocent men, women, and children were killed in Jenin and Nablus during the Israeli attacks of 2002, in Gaza during Operation Cast Lead just 4 years ago, and during Operation Pillar of Defense over the last 2 weeks. Palestinians experience foreign aggression every time the United States vetoes UN resolutions that will stop Israeli war crimes against Palestinians. Palestinians experience foreign aggression every time Israel breaks a ceasefire. Palestinians experience foreign aggression and relive their version of 9/11 every time you, President Obama, call acts of Israeli terrorism self-defense. Self-defense? Just last week, you denied the rights of people in Gaza as you justified Israel's right to defend itself. The Israeli government and occupation forces have placed Gaza in the blockade, bombed the airport of Gaza, controls the airspace, determines who can come in and out of Gaza, determines what goods can go in and out of Gaza, and you, President Obama, treat Palestinians like terrorists? During the most recent assault on Gaza, Israel's interior minister said that Israel should send Gaza back to the Middle Age. And Gilad Sharon, the son of Ariel Sharon, wrote in the Jerusalem Post, "We need to flatten all of Gaza on a scale that compares to atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki." And you, President Obama, treat the Palestinians like terrorists? Who's the terrorist? Min Rahabi, Netanyahu Rahabi. Prime Minister Netanyahu, the Israeli occupation and murder forces, and other Israeli officials are the terrorists. President Obama, you provide moral, political, and financial support, as well as military weapons for the Israeli atrocities against Palestinians. Guess what that makes you, President Obama? That makes you and other American officials supporters of terrorism. President Obama, every time you support Israel state terrorism against Palestinians, you betray the African American civil rights movement and those like Martin Luther King who died fighting for civil rights. Every time you support Israeli state terrorism against Palestinians, you betray the South African struggle against apartheid and those like Steve Biko who died fighting against apartheid. Martin Luther King, Steve Biko, and Nelson Mandela are inspiring examples of black men who provided oppressed people with visions and dreams of freedom. During your inaugurations, both of them, you promised Americans and the world change. You promised hope, and all you provide to Palestinians is no change, shattered hope, and nightmares. Will that be your legacy? For 10 years, Americans have mourned and should mourn 9/11. President Obama, when will you acknowledge the Palestinian version of 9/11 that has been going on for more than 60 years? Palestinians have every civil and human right to resist foreign aggression. Palestinians have every civil and human right to protest. Palestinians have every civil and human right to defend themselves. And it is not Palestinians who are the terrorists, it is Israel. It is Palestinians who act in self-defense. Palestinians have every civil and human right to exist and to defend themselves. As an American, I stand against you, President Obama, as well as against Vice President Biden, Secretary of State Clinton, and U.S. Ambassador Rice, and other U.S. officials who justify Israeli terrorism. As an American, I stand against Prime Minister Netanyahu and Israeli officials who occupy Palestinian lands and destroy Palestinian lives. I stand in solidarity with the civilians of the Jabalia camp. I stand in solidarity with the people of Gaza, and I stand in solidarity with the people of Palestine. President Obama, I invite you to stand with me. Shukran.